Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 92 of the VR Verdict podcast. I'm PJ.
I'm Wookiee.
We're here talking to Sam from Make Real Studio. Is that right?
That's right. Yep, Make Real, based in Brighton, UK.
Awesome. And we're here talking about your game Loco Dojo Unleashed.
Just come out on the Oculus Quest store. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone listening or watching, there'll be links in the show notes for all the information we talk about. Grab the game on Quest. It's a blast, as you're about to hear. So,
I gave it a 5-star review.
Thank you very much. Yeah, reviews are like super important because it really helps with visibility and making sure we can do stuff on the store, and obviously a good score is one thing, but the number of reviews is helpful as well.
Yeah.
Especially when Rotor VR, for example, they do those weekly or monthly top app lists and things like that. So hopefully we'll be slowly creeping up there.
So for anyone listening or watching doesn't know what Loco Dojo is, do you have any offense when people say it's Mario Party in VR? Or is that a good thing?
I have no offense whatsoever if people want to say that. For legal purposes, we have to, disclaim that it's not based on Mario Party, or we don't use those words. But if other people want to call it Mario Party in VR, you are more than welcome.
It's Italian Plumber Party in VR.
Yeah, it's just a great board game with 16 mini games included. And you take turns going around and playing the mini games, and the mini games are awesome.
Yeah, the idea is the current board is split into 4 themes. So we've got countryside, seaside, rocky desert, and boggy swamp. And then each of those themes has 4 games within. And they're either 1v1, v1, v1, or 1v3. Then the idea being you move around the board. The wheel around the outside is essentially the die that you throw to move your character. And then once you've got, every time you win a minigame, or every time you complete a minigame, you get some coins. So you get more coins if you get silver over bronze, or if you get gold, you get the most. And for you, then the coins go towards unlocking different coloured headbands based on like karate belts. And once you get the black headband, then you can go to the centre aisle where the sort of Grand Sensei's temple is, and you take on your final challenge. And if you win that, then you win the.
Awesome.
It's set up pretty well because the headbands do a nice job of like making sure you get a nice sample of mini games before you start the final mini games. That's a good amount of time. So
yeah, I mean, for this initial version, we've just been busy optimizing and making sure that those 16 mini games work on Quest. Been balancing a little bit, changing some of the inputs, reducing some of the rates that the bugs come out and bug crunch, because maybe we're just getting too old, but we were finding it really hard from the PC version. But moving forwards, we want to do a post-launch patch to improve some of the multiplayer stuff and add friend invites and private lobbies, integrate some of the Facebook, Oculus, the new multiplayer stuff that's at the OS level, so you can come in direct from your sort of voice chat party straight into the game.
That's important.
Sort out the region issues so that, well, US and Canada, for example, can play each other.
Right.
And then, depending on the success of the game, we've got many more plans in terms of more themes, more mini games, more ways to play. We want to do like pass and play local multiplayer. but ultimately, we just have to weigh up the balance of how successful the game is, how much extra we spend on development, and it's that sort of chicken and egg scenario, really, for most devs.
It happens, but it's a pretty solid game so far.
Yeah. We just, the main issue with all multiplayer games is just making sure that the community and the player base are there, so there's always a game for people to join. We don't want to be in that scenario where people are leaving bad reviews just because they can't find a game to play. So for launch week, we've hired people to be hosting games, so there are lobbies to join. And we'll be setting up like Oculus events, so timed events that appear in your mobile app in the calendar on the homepage for good times for the UK, for US, for Canada, for Australia, etc. To like, hey, we all join this event, then there's going to be people guaranteed to be online to play against.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good
smart
way to do it. Yeah.
I was curious. Oh, go ahead.
I was say, this is one of the games like there is no single player component. You need multiplayer. So setting up events.
Yeah, I mean, we added a single player mode for the PC version as the last minute, which is what became the solo challenge. So we've done some more work. There is more to do with in single player now. So we have solo challenge became the 10 trials test.
Yeah.
The same format. You get 10 spins. You have to get as many golds as possible to try and get the black headband. But we've now created Solo Dojo, which has a new table where rather than the dice number, you have each of the mini games, and you just spin the wheel to choose the mini game that you want to play, so you can practice and get good at it, or figure out how it works before you go into multiplayer. But we've put these into tiers, so quite a lot of arguments internally within the studio of like which one's easy to which one's hardest. So tier 1 is unlocked when you first go in, and if you get at least a bronze in each one, then you unlock the next tier. But then we added the 4 missing masks. The PC version had 8 masks, but they were all unlocked all the time. And the masks are based on the Chinese zodiac signs. So we locked 4, but then we added another 4. So if you get 2 golds in a tier, you'll unlock one of the older masks. If you get all golds in a tier, then you'll unlock one of the new masks. So then you can, when you do go into multiplayer, you can kind of sense how good somebody is based upon which mask they've got.
Yeah. It's got to be a tough balance with VR, like multiplayer, and you have the solo tournament, but it's, a multiplayer game, and multiplayer, like with numbers and stuff, it's got to be scary. But I always love that, like games like yours include a little solo thing that you can do and unlock masks and try it out and play it.
Yeah. I mean, some of the games are actually quite different in single player as well.
Sure.
Or it allows you to practice the main of asymmetrical part when you become, the one that the other 3 are against. So it's like good practice for the temple. But like, for example, we added like the cactus cowboys in egg boxing that are trying to turn around and try and break your egg, because obviously you haven't got players. Yeah, and there's not much of a challenge. Well, I mean, it's still a bit of a challenge trying to carefully spoon the egg into the frying. But we wanted to add a bit more of a challenge.
That was a crazy mini game too, because I couldn't.
Yeah, that was
I couldn't get the egg. I think I got 1 or 2 in there on accident, but I was just having so much fun punching PJ's egg that, like, for the listeners, it's like the extendo boxing glove. Mm-hmm. You're like, what, a good 10 meters away from the other guy. You're just like trying to punch this giant egg, and like that's just the best. Like I was like,
I was always critical, especially when their golden one comes out as well.
Yes, I don't know what gold means. More points, you gotta go. That was fun.
There is You could do it with the PC version, but with the tether, it's a bit more difficult. But yeah, with the Quest version, there is actually quite a hack. What I'm saying is that your mask has a collider on it, so you can probably work out the rest of the hack.
Back
to
the wall.
If the game didn't make me so frantic, I probably would have figured that out, because I'm like, I would have said like, oh, in the shark game, you can the meat splashes on the mask, therefore there's a collider. Yeah. I'm like, where else can I use this? But
yeah, I mean, that's one of those funny things about VR is the differences of what gaming allows, where people are so used to pressing a button to perform an action. Yeah. When people were first playing Chum Gun, the shark one, they were like, what do I press to duck? And it's like, well, you just duck. And they're like, oh, right, yeah.
Figured out the hardware playing like Pavlov when we first launched. Like, you do some stuff and then you're trying to reload, and your brain stops, because in a first-person shooter, you're just like push and reload. You might already be behind some cover, but I'll just like shooting a gun, and then I'll just be like, I got to reload. I'm just standing out in the open, like my brain is dead while I'm just doing this. Like, okay, and then I'm just getting shot. Like, oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I mean, I've been in VR a lot, and it was the same when I played Loco Dojo on PC, 2 years ago. When that shark jumps out of the water and eats you, like when you're not expecting, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, we
quite a few screams in that game.
We took some clips, right? And I didn't know they were going to jump. Like, I didn't even know what was going on in the minigame, because, again, frantic. Like, my brain shut off. Like, I'm not realizing the things I could be using to my advantage. And sitting there shooting, and I don't know, the video didn't catch it, because PJ posted a clip, and I yelped, like, right. I don't know how to explain it. I was like, I could have been a full-on scream for all I know.
Like a child.
Because I was like, trying to do something, look over that, just like, my brain was like, look to your right, idiot, and there was teeth, and I didn't even realize that a shark was going to jump at me. I didn't read the thing. I was like, this looks fun, let's get going. Didn't read the
thankfully this one's nailed to the wall.
So I won't scream it that way.
We're quite safe today.
It was a jump scare. It was good.
Yeah. So,
but we wanted to add audio warnings, but we found out the two tones from Jaws, they are copyrighted. Right, different variations that were kind of similar and gave the same effects and sort of suggested what we were trying to achieve, but it just didn't really work. Feel like it. So definitely, one of the things we wanted to do is for Quest is that we got Brian Blessed back into the recording studio to record a lot more VO to play during the game. So when a shark does come at you, he's now shouting, shark or shark. So.
It's funny because we first played the riding the pig game on the little plank bridge, and you got to swat it in the right spot to go, and it's like it's a perfect combination, because you look over and try to swat it in the right spot, you're going to invariably move the carrot and run off the road. But then there's a game like that where the announcer Brian Blessed keeps saying it, and it's like, I know, I can hear you, I'm just an idiot. And then when you play the shark game, I didn't even hear any of that at all. I didn't. Right. My brain did not pick up on it at all. It just got eaten a lot.
Yeah, I think there's always more polish that can be done. And there's a big long list of things we wanted to do for launch, and it's just right, we've just got to tackle the things that are going to have the biggest buck, bang for the buck and time. Because once you go into QA and the build gets locked down and you're ready for launch, you can't really do very much. Yeah. I mean, a bit more audio balance on some of the VO, but also the dynamic system we've created that triggers the audio based upon what you're doing in the game, whether you're doing well or bad, or whether it should help you or laugh at you.
Oh yeah, I get you. A lot of games have that anyway. I'm just if I could hit the thing on the target, it wouldn't. Yeah, be a problem.
but Pig Bridge, for example, it needs to maybe trigger it every 5th mishit or something, because at the moment it is spamming it quite frequently.
It probably added to the fun. I don't know if I saw that clip on there, but I'm sitting there like, I know, I can hear you. While I'm trying to go, it's funny. Shut up.
Yeah. And to the point of screaming at the sharks, my wife played for the first time last night, and that alone is quite a review for you because my wife gets motion sickness like terribly. Like she can't even play like I Expect You to Die, where you just sit there. But she saw our clips, and I was explaining the game. She's like, I want to play that. So we played it last night. I took a video. I haven't got it edited yet. But the sausage bat, I can't remember the name of the game, but where the bats come at you.
Way of the Sausage. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. She was just screaming because they look like Lego bats, like she said, and they, but they still, like, she's not played a lot of VR, so she was just losing her shit. It was awesome.
I was losing my shit.
I was first saying I want to play that game is an awesome review for you.
That's
so
great.
You know that.
Yeah,
she wants to play again.
The whole round.
That's one of the things that we wanted to achieve with the game is that it appeals to everyone.
Yeah.
Young, old, male, female, etc. We want VR to be fun and people to want to have that sense of fun and sort of stupidity. Losing that consciousness of maybe thinking they look goofy wearing the headset, but get in, and then have some crazy fun.
So, and I have to thank you because if I've been trying to tell her like how to baby step getting used to VR, and she'll get nauseous and headaches so bad she doesn't care. So if this game helps her get rid of her VR sickness or gets her VR legs, I'm gonna owe you a lot because her and I play a lot of like Switch together. She loves to play games like older school games, not so much like first person stuff. But if she gets into VR through this game, I'm just gonna, I don't know, I'll have to do something for you because that would really make my day.
Get a permanent lobby host for events.
Yep.
Free.
Yeah, it's funny because we, like certain manufacturers, you have to put a sign up warning people about health and safety stuff. A lot of early demos we did, and we'd talk to people in the queue and go, if you feel funny, or people will go, "Oh, will it make you feel sick?" And it's just we learn about the nocebo effects basically. And now we just tell people it's like you can just stop and take the headset off at any time. Don't feel like you have to carry on. But we don't mention nausea, we don't mention sickness, we don't suggest you might feel funny or anything like that, because nocebo effect is that planting of a negative thought that can, people can actually actualize it. So they might have been fine, but because they're like, oh, VR makes people sick, and it's in their head, and they start feeling worse than what they would have done if they weren't thinking about it.
Yeah, and I think she would have actually done better, but in my game, I let her play in my gaming room where the floor's padded and it's bigger, and I think it was just already a little warm in here because we didn't have the air turned down. So I think if the air was colder, she might have actually done even better. So
right,
but that's neat that you guys noticed that for two reasons: A, to help players and not plant that seed in their head, but also whether it's in VR or flat gaming, just to get into a game, all those freaking pop-ups, it's like, yeah, we know all of this. I don't want to see it, especially in VR when you're like in a headset. You're like, you don't need all those extra screens, so I'm glad you don't have to include them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was from very early on. We wanted to make your fists fly off and be the selector. Fist of Fury style, smashing the board. It kind of like that was a very very early vision and implementation.
For the not having all those pop-ups and the nausea, I think you nailed it perfectly there, because like I don't really get nauseous that often, but my eyes will get tweaked. Like if I'm looking at pixels too hard, like playing like sniping in a first-person shooter, and I'm just like staring at, like, show me the face. I need to see the tiny little head to shoot it. Games like I forgot one racing game. Like it had a really nice logo that was the loading screen, but it was too like crispy on the edges. Just when the logo pops up, it would tweak my eyes out, and I would I'd have to shut my eyes when loading that game. But your guys, you don't have all those pop-ups plus the logo in yours. Somehow it's like perfect, smooth, and I was like, the first thing I noticed was like, thankfully I can look at a loading logo and not be off on the wrong foot. So it's like, this is going to be good.
Yeah, well, that was another thing that we did. We changed, and when we do go back and revisit the PC version at some point in the future, we notice it now because when we fire up the PC version, because our logo colors are the grey and the green, usually on a off-white background, but actually loading up in like a bright white space in VR is quite unpleasant.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's our logo. It must be like that. But for Quest, we're like, no, let's stop doing that. Through a lot of our other applications for enterprise clients, etc. No bright white screens.
Yeah. I yell at games all the time. I like nobody's listening, and that's where we're on the podcast. But it's like you boot up Netflix, and either you have like this color red from these chairs, and I have like a projector. Like all you see is this giant red, or sometimes it's a red N on a white background. And it's like, stop, stop with the giant solid colors.
I still use the Oculus Rift CV1 as my main headset because I love it so much, and I'll get up 5-ish in the morning to play, and I'll put the headset on, and it's the bright white screen. It's like, God damn it! Like every morning.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, like, so you originally put this game out in 2017 on PCVR, Steam, Oculus. So here we are in 2021 releasing a Quest version, little updated and stuff, but like, how has that journey been? Because I don't know how well it did on PC, and you don't have, if you want to say fine, if you don't, fine, but I remember launching it back then. I'm like, this looks freaking amazing. I got to play this, but I think I was a little late to the party, so there was no players online. I'm like, I was trying to get people to play it. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, no.
I mean, we get told constantly, especially with the PC version, this is sort of other studio heads and other developers and stuff, people who know, sort of the cost of what games take to make. So when we tell them, the number of sort of dev hours and the budget that we had, they're like, we just don't understand how we managed to make something look so polished and solid and quality for that little budget. And it's credit to our team and the people who worked on it to achieve that. But majority of them were AAA games, sort of senior, very experienced, or had created a lot of content for full flight simulators, military and defense previously prior to joining Make Real. So they were kind of used to that sort of quality bar, but they were also like super focused on making sure that not a single frame dropped anywhere. And obviously we can make jokes going, well, of course it's really well polished because it's all made of wood, right? But it's always nice to hear that. And people, when they play it, they're like, oh my God, this is, so much stupid fun. I haven't laughed as much, in VR. But yeah, it did okay for us. But our studio moniker is serious fun, right? So that reflects a 70% of our work, which is mostly enterprise for our B2B clients, where, there's solid money to be made. And the 3 letters of fun is the 30% of the in and out of home and installation stuff we do, which, Radial G, Loco Dojo Unleashed, Chaos Carts, various other museum and theatre, sort of immersive theatre stuff. And Radial G did very well, and it funded itself for the PSVR version. But then the deal we had on PSVR, it was like early days for box products and stuff, and early days for PSVR as well. So it didn't do as well as we'd hoped. And then Loco, it's quite Marmite, right? So I think a lot of gamers, especially in VR, they want FPS or they want rhythm action. And probably if we wanted to make a lot of money and just focus on that, we'd make an FPS. But that doesn't really fit in with our studio mantra in terms of serious fun, but also the sort of ethics of what we believe in terms of encouraging positive behavioural change through immersive technologies. So we wanted to make a game that we kind of wanted to play, but also at the same time something different for people who wanted that alternative. But because it is multiplayer, you need to have friends with it, and you need to have that organisation ability to get people together at a certain time to play a room, to set up a room, play a game. And we did start the quest optimization back in 2018 when we first got like the early Santa Cruz dev kits. But we had a blocker with the quality bar aspect of the initial store launch, and so we kind of parked it. And it's difficult because I've seen some comments for Quest. It's just like, all right, well, if this is based on the PC version, there must be like loads of DLC ready to come, right? It's like, no, but there will be, assuming that we do well on Quest. So it's very much, it's more than a passion project. It's not going to kill the studio if it's not successful, but we obviously want it to be successful, and we want to carry on updating it, and we want to have a lot of fun with it. But we also want to show that you can do something else with VR.
Yeah.
And it is 4 years old, and at the time it was designed with the Oculus Touch launch. So it was designed to explore and showcase different things that you could do with tracked controllers and touch controllers and input. But since then, the touch controllers have moved on. We've got hand tracking. There's loads of new. Well, we've got a Tupperware, plastic box full of post-it notes of minigame ideas that didn't make it on like the alpha stage. That are ready to be pulled back in, prototyped and released. So it's been a journey to get here.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's releasing on Thursday. Was a great milestone for the studio to get something on. We've released some stuff on App Lab, and to actually get something on the store is a great milestone for the studio.
Yeah. How fun is it to sit there and think of mini games and then try to like prototype and test them, and because the mini games are insane. Like, I don't know where you came up with some of them.
So Pete, our main designer at the time, he came up with most of the ideas. And I worry about that kid's head, right? I don't want to lift the lid and look inside.
After the first few mini games, you get like when it's about to start, you get that little like sample that tells you the title and statue of a pig and like a fruit or something, and it's kind of like after the first couple, you're like, what the hell is going to be this one when you see a new one? Like, why is that? What's a pig got to do with a metal hook? What is this?
Well, every mini game name is pretty much a pun based on what you're doing, right? But we've also do quite a bit of work with like local colleges and do work like virtual studios as like a work experience thing. So we're part of an organisation in the UK called Into Games, which is designed to encourage and enable people from a much wider, diverse and inclusive range of backgrounds to get into the games industry rather than having to go to college or university, etc.
That's so awesome.
I want that.
Excuse me. And we work with them, and they reach out to schools and colleges or like coder groups and stuff like that. So one of the briefs that we always give them is like, we're making Loco Dojo 2. Design us a new theme and a mini game. And we've had some brilliant ideas. So and seen some great prototypes from them. So yeah, it's it's not just a cheap way for us to generate new content, because there's still a lot of practice and polish that needs to go into those, but it helps as well, with a younger set of designers, and they're actually, they think is fun. So
Yeah.
be looking forward to hopefully implementing some of those in the future, and obviously giving them proper credit.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear like there's plans, because I love the game. I think it's fun. Just looking at stuff like the assets in the booth here is just, I don't know what it is, but it's just pleasing to look at. I like it.
There's a charm to the art style,
Yeah.
and it's like you said, you don't know how you did such a good job with such, what modest budget, and you had some really good people, but there's something to be said where like even like a simple theme or a simple style, it's almost like when you try to draw like an anime face, like how do the anime artists or manga artists know how to put like that line right there in that perfect form?
Yeah.
And it's one line, and that should be easy, but it's like a million hours of practice. But like even when I first saw the little whale with his fins like on the board, on the big playboard, and I was like, I love the art style, because like it's like perfect. Everything's simple and it's right where it needs to be to get the point across, and it's cute. I was like, I could just stare at the board game table all day.
There's little things in the art that I still notice now that the artists have put in, that I hadn't realised, and it took me about 2 years to realise that the whale had a crown on top of his head, because he's the Prince of Wales.
Nice. Yeah, that would have took me a long time from now.
Completely flew over my head, missed it. But then there's stupid little things as well. So when we were preparing the model of Grand Sensei for, because originally, well, actually, Oculus Home still runs on Rift, right? You can, when you play the game, if you get certain achievements, you unlock custom items that you can then get the daily presence thing. So you can unlock these items to have in your home, in your Rift home. And I hadn't realised, but Grand Sensei, under his butt, he's got a butt. But you just can't see it because the cloud's in the way.
Yeah.
So
I love
you can get his butt in your house.
Yeah.
Your Oculus Home?
That's awesome.
I can't remember which achievements it is you have to unlock to get the assets. But yeah, they do animate. So like the chef, he's got the cactus chef. He's got the golden slice of corn rotates around him, and his tongue waggles. Grand Sensei flaps his arms, and then the shark in the sort of Billy Bass wall mount style, he'll like flap out mouth. Just need to attach some audio to him singing or something.
Yeah. Or have like a button where you can push it and then record your own.
Yeah.
You could market that and make like a product. I'd put that shark in there if I could.
Carmack recently suggested that some kind of social home environment that you can go into in Quest, unlike like an app or whatever, could be coming soon. So hopefully those customizable objects, I mean, they're still configured within Loco Dojo Unleashed. Hopefully they will just transport across.
Yeah, that was one of the things when we first got into VR that I just loved, having that little space. You could do whatever you wanted. You could like have a little cartridge system, grab the game, put it in, and launch the game for everyone. Like,
that was
just the neatest stuff. Now the Quest is great as it is, but it's just menu based.
Yeah, I mean, because the Go had a similar sort of like home environment. You could play like little simple board games and stuff.
Yeah.
They really need to sort something out like that. So hopefully there'll be some kind of announcement at Facebook next month.
And back to the credit of Wookiee was saying how, you were mentioning how everything ran smooth and all that. But so I initially played Loco Dojo Unleashed on the Quest 2, and then my wife was expressing interest, so I'm like, I think it might work on both headsets because I have a Quest 1, Quest 2. Like, let me go try it out, and I got it work. I'm like, sweet, it's gonna work. So I let her use the Quest 2 just because I thought it'd help with her sickness motion stuff because it's clearer, faster, which hopefully it did. So I was playing on the Quest 1, which I haven't used for quite a while, and the difference was nominal. So that's awesome. It looks great.
Yeah,
on
I mean,
both,
we get daily stats in terms of performance across all the app installs in the developer dashboard, and I think it's like half a frame difference between the two. As an average, it's pretty good. But we used the Quest 1 as like our min spec or baseline, and ideally, look to tweak more for Quest 2 specific features, or
because
add
the difference between the difference between the Quest 1, Quest 2 is one thing, and then like it's not that different from the PC version, which is pretty crazy, being it's a mobile headset.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the artists, they can obviously see the difference straight away. Yeah. And there's little things like the green one-eyed monster with the teeth that you're chucking the biscuits at. On the table, like on the PC version, his head's like completely, like yours, round and smooth and shiny. But on Quest, he's got a few angles on it where we had to optimize the geometry. But yeah, actually, that scene was like the heaviest scene that needed the most optimization, really. But we started that back in 2018, and it also gave us a good base to start getting the version running on PlayStation VR. Nice. It's just a case of time and effort and having our technical developer sort of finalize, because the multiplayer is always the tricky bit, because the amount of physics going on for you, but also showing what you're doing to each other player and tracking and the position of every biscuit for every player, etc. Yeah, it's crazy, some of the physics stuff. But then it is more like fixing things that didn't work or didn't correlate across. So we used like some simple Unity assets for the rope on the sausage nunchucks, or the rope holding the carrot on the stick. There isn't a 64-bit version of that, and Quest builds have to be 64-bit now, so we had to rewrite all of that ourselves, which was quite a big job, which is why they're a bit stretchy and not quite as solid. And the carrot is well, it's essentially it's a stick. It's a carrot on a stick, as opposed to a carrot on a string. But you don't really notice when you're playing, so it's more about performance optimizations and efficiencies that don't really detract.
And for anyone again listening or watching, if the term sausage nunchucks doesn't make you go buy this game, I don't know. Go back to work.
Go push your spreadsheets.
Yeah. And again, it took me a while to realize that game's actually quite dark, in that you're using cooked pork products to defend live pork product.
My products.
That was one of the things that popped in my head. I'm like, was this one of the pigs that went like? There's cute little pigs that are behind you in the little pen there. You're defending them.
It's a risk-reward balance. So, like, every pig that gets carried off, it allows you to have more nunchucks spawned or something.
Oh, that's not part of the mechanic, is it? If you
no.
throw your nunchuck, you lose a pig, and you get a new nunchuck.
Yeah. But there is an achievement. So, if a pig's being carried off by a bat, you can throw the nunchucks and get the bat to drop the pig and save your pig. And you get an achievement for that. So.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't really want to do any spoiling, but there seems to be a lot of like, I don't know if that would be an Easter egg, but that type of thing where you just mentioned throwing that, like not everyone would think to do that. But I've noticed some little things that pretty neat.
there's a lot of Easter eggs in there, and there's a lot of, I mean, quite a lot of people look at it and go, "Oh, they're really simple, stupid games. You know, there's no skill." And it's like, well, go on then, go and get a gold. But then all the hints and all the clues are there. You've just got to look for them. Like, you know, the achievement descriptions give you some pretty big clues of the advanced, you know, skills that a true master in the dojo has.
Well, it's like simple stuff is usually the better way to do that because, yeah, it seems simple, but you add in a little bit of make your own fun, like better physics, this, that, and the other. Like, you could do some pretty crazy stuff without doing that. Like, you can go from, I don't know what mini games I was just tanking on last night to, like, the end of the match. I got, like, 3 golds in a row, and I'm like, I must have learned. But, you know, there's a lot of deceptively, you know, simple stuff when you're using, like, the little mine carts to catch your burgers. I think somebody bumped me out of the way. And it's like, I couldn't bump them. So I'm like, there's something to that. Like, you know, can't rebump? Is there, like, no retaliation? They bumped me, and now they're rock solid. I'm like,
I think it just depends which direction the cart last went in.
Mm-hmm.
But you should be able to bump them back. But it depends. You know, they may be pressing their left bumper at the same time as you're pressing the right one. So
yeah, if you're holding it down, maybe
end up having a bump off.
Keep going. They just can't go back to the right because they bumped me right out and got, like, you know, a burger, and I was like, "You son of a bitch!" I couldn't get back. I was like, "This is nuts."
That is one optimization that made that game harder. Was we had to drop the shadows for the falling burgers just because it was just tanking the frame rate. So it has made it a little bit harder to define where the burgers are and which rail you need to be on. But again, you know, you learn by the size and scale of the burger which line it's going to be on.
Yeah, I prefer that without shadows.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
This game always makes me hungry for burgers.
I want to be that.
But then we also want to do things like, if you get the gold trophy in one of the mini games, then in Solo Dojo, then as well as having the apples in the pre-lobby that you can throw around, surprisingly heavy for apples,
right?
We want to have, like, you know, those golden assets stacked up behind you or somewhere. So, like with the mask,
treasure pile.
When you come in against an opponent, you know, if they've got, like, a big stack of gold stuff behind them, it's like, oh shit, you know, they're pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Not only have they played a lot, they've gotten gold. So
yeah,
that's a good thing to do because I always like. It requires some balance in some games because, like, we might play I don't remember first person or like Star Wars Squadrons. We might play that a lot once in a while, but we're not like that good. And you get up against, like, it match makes based on, like, your however they do it, that how many hours you've played. It's like, that's not necessarily that good. We just played a lot.
Right.
We don't play for like 2 weeks. We suck every time we start to play. And then you get paired up with, like, random people. So if I was, like, came in and saw somebody with, like, a giant stack of gold trophies, I'd be like, I hope they've got way more silver and bronze somewhere in their warehouse. Because, like, oh, God.
Yeah, it was difficult because, I mean, we were playing on launch night, and because we've been testing it so much, and obviously having to test that when you do unlock all the golds, that each mask unlocks accordingly, and the code works, etc. I've got pretty good at the game, and actually some of the mini games I always sucked at, and you know, pardon the pun, but the one I sucked at most was the milking a pig with the piglets.
I haven't seen
that one yet.
So you've got a sow in front of you, and at the start of the game, it's quite weird, and your wife will probably freak out because the pig teats kind of pop out at you, and then you've got to put piglets on them to fill the piglets up with milk. And the piglets are designed; they look like a piglet, but down the side they've got like a baby bottle kind of with the markers on, and then you can see the milk filling up, and they slowly expand or lengthen
Like a tick.
And then
Gross.
you pick them off, and then you pat their bums to sort of squeeze all the milk out into the urn. And I could not do it. It's like I could do one piglet at a time. I could just about, get it off before it had too much milk. Their legs wiggle, and you grab it, and then if you miss it, like they pop off and fly around the room like a soda bottle,
Like a fire hose.
and I just couldn't get it. But I then realised it's just like timing of putting 4 on, and making sure you're always getting different pigs, because greedy pigs drink slower. Once you can't just quit spam the same piglet, and then it's just like a manic case of quickly getting them off and popping them in, and then putting the next 4 on.
And
But,
that makes them like they're not just simple stupid mini games. You put simple things like that in there, like the timing. Like if greedy pigs drink quicker, and you have strategies where like how many, like what order, and like how soon you put the pigs on. Then you realize one's going to drink quicker. You could try to put 4 pigs on and stagger them by your own timing and think you got it made, and then based on how fast they drink, you could come up with the same result, and they all pop off at the same time.
Yeah.
Like that's the stuff that's like genius, because
it
replayable.
And there's a few people who said, oh well, the single player isn't very good, and it's like, well, no, it's practice, because you're going to have a lot more fun. It's fun in multiplayer, but when you're playing against people who know how to play, then it gets really competitive fun.
Yeah.
And it's not fun when you're really good and everybody else is still learning. So like Thursday night, I was holding it back and trying to play as badly as possible, so I wasn't always getting gold. But that was it. We designed it in terms of the input, the actions, everything you do. It's one button, it's one movement generally. Really simple to pick up and play, but tricky to master.
Yeah, and I love
as the Grand Sensei says in the trailer.
And I love how it's not just like you're doing a mini game and you're all doing the same thing. I love how it's like you said in the start, like 1v1, v1, or sometimes it's 3 against 1, or like it's just it mixes it up depending on who rolled and whatever. It's I love screwing over friends and siblings.
Yeah.
So
I think one thing I would like to do is probably reduce the number of question marks, or have a mode where you can turn the question marks off for the boost and boon tokens. I think maybe 1, 2 question mark, 3, 4 question mark, 1, 2 question mark, etc. was maybe it's too many question marks. But then if you do play that other popular console title that involves parties and Italian plumbers, they have a similar mechanic, and you do get a lot of them. But I have seen a few videos where like you get 4 or 5 of them in a row, and it's just like, oh, come on, we need to.
The first time we played, I was like, he was getting 4s
more
on
mini game.
Yeah, it was like, come on. Yeah, I got like a question mark like every roll. It was fine, but I was like, I thought he was cheating.
Right.
'Cause he was moving around. I was stuck. I'm like, oh, but it's fine.
Yeah, I think maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4 question mark, 1, 2, 3, 4 question mark might help reduce that frequency.
sure.
Maybe just 3rd question mark gives you a bomb and blows you up, and you just land on a random dot on the map. Like,
yeah,
no
people
more
find it
question.
certain unfair when they land on the yin and the yang ones, and they either get coins or have coins taken away.
Just a fun part of the game.
They've never played board games. That's what it is. Like you go back to go to jail and go all this stuff. Like, crap.
With the board layout, and as cute as everything is, it'd be neat if, I don't know, if something like if it was your turn, like you'd actually go down into there so you could see all that awesomeness, like from.
Well, in the prototype, that's what we did.
Awesome.
The prototype that we first showed Oculus, that's what happened. You were the levels or the mini games essentially. I mean, they are still kind of, you're on the board as it were, but there was a much stronger correlation between the land you were seeing and then going in and being on and playing the game on the board, as it were. But I think, well, yeah, it's just more in the sake of scene loading and destruction with the loading sequence and memory management. Unfortunately, we kind of lost that transition effect.
That's understandable too. Because like Mario Party, Italian Plumber Party, when we would play that, like I didn't care about the board game part at all. It's like, okay, just means to an end. It's just a shovel for the fun. But this one, like PJ said, I kind of want to see a little bit more of the board. It goes by too quick. There's the board plays such a small part, which is in some cases fine. You get to the mini games faster. But it's also like I said, when I first saw that little whale sitting there and his little hands moving up, I was like, that I want to see more of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully, we'll either release like a whole new board that you pull a lever and it'll flip over and you'll get a new board, or in an ideal world, like have to re-engineer the board entirely, but like and my dev's listening to this, he's like, shut up.
Yeah, randomize the board.
But like, well, modularize it or allow you to take a theme or a quarter out and swap it in with another one, and then the path realigns itself or something. But
that would be really cool.
My dev's probably like, oh no, that sounds like a whole load of work. So
that actually sounds like a really cool feature, because then you kind of mixing and matching your own tournament. Because sometimes, like in rally sport racing games, you can say, I want like an Italian hill, and then I want a mountain, and I want this, and then we set up a tournament in that. It's kind of like setting your area. That'd be really cool.
I mean, in an absolute ideal situation, is the game's so popular that other VR games want a feature in it, and then we can make a mini game that is based on other VR games, right?
That would be so cool.
And then have cross promotion. Because I think cross promotion is great within games. We did it with Radial G and Blair and Technolust, and we had adverts for Technolust and Iris and the various companies that were in Technolust, and he had the little model of the Radial G ship in the apartment and stuff. So, and you could play. You had to hack the Radial G machine in the arcade cabinet. That's awesome. It's nice bits of crossover.
I love Radial G, by the way, before we lose that topic.
Well, that's what taught us a lot about rock solid frame rates and stability and comfort. And learning when to not tell people it might make them feel sick, because a lot of people just looked at the video or we were waiting in the queue, watching people waiting to have their turn. They're just like, oh my god, that's gonna make me hurl. And it's just like I confidently can tell you, there's a 99% chance that it won't. We ended up demoing it and watching and seeing thousands of players play it, and tracked like less than 1% who had to stop, and it was usually within like 20 seconds they were headset up going, nope, can't do that. But we once had a very heavily pregnant woman wanting to play, as she's like, I've tried baths, I've tried hot curries, I've tried this, that, and the other. I'm 2 weeks overdue. Maybe this will help induce me. Like, can you sign something, or can I not let you do this?
Wow. Well, did it work?
No.
That's another thing, that just playing the game and seeing your tweets and talking, like you at least you, but I'm assuming your team too, have a wicked sense of humor. Like, my favorite tweet of yours recently was like, I was like, hey, how's launch going? And you just put the poop emoji, pants, and an exclamation point. I fucking laughed so hard.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's taken until today to feel elated about launch. It's kind of been coming or not, or definitely happening for so many years, essentially. And then it was all the stress and organization and, reaching out to content creators and the press and making sure you've got coverage and gameplay and stuff out there, and last minute issues like cross region suddenly not working for some goddamn I don't know whether the reason is, but and then, unlike Steam, you've handed your build over, you've handed your baby over to somebody else, and you're entirely reliant upon them pushing the buttons at the right time and all pages update. So it's it's not like Steam where you're in charge and you have the big green button and you click it and then it goes live. And also with lockdown and changing from being a bums on seats altogether studio to a remote studio, we haven't, we had people on Zoom and we were chatting at the time, sort of leading up to 6 o'clock, and it's just kind of like, has the store page, has it gone from coming soon to new and noteworthy? And then people are going, oh, it hasn't changed for me. And I was like, well, it's changed for me. Look, here's a screenshot. I've already tweeted it. Go, and then playing the game and meeting fresh players who are just getting into it. It took until today really to sort of go, holy shit, it's out. This is awesome. The numbers are good. People are playing. The reviews are good. Awesome. Everyone seems to be majoritively happy. We know what we need to do, and we're working towards that post-launch patch to get it out in a couple of weeks' time, and then we can actually start to relax and start thinking about all this other stuff we wanted to do. When are we going to do it, and how are we going to do it, and who's going to do it? Because we're like a small studio. There's 35 of us, I think, now. Wow. But in terms of people who worked on Loco Dojo, we had like one developer, one artist, one designer, me doing everything non-creative or technical with all the sort of press and PR and sorting out the publication and the production side of things. A PM and our production assistant was sort of doing a lot of the testing. But we like to make sure that everyone's included on the credits. And if you spent more than an hour on a game or doing something in a game, you got listed as a dev team, but then everybody else is under the sort of special thanks bit. But yeah, it's always been a small team for the game because we can't afford to put everyone on it.
Yeah, I think don't sell yourself short on the creativeness, because the marketing and just the tweets and all that, I'm assuming, is you. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm pretty much think along the same lines as Bill Hicks when it comes to marketing and marketeers. And I'll let you go and find that YouTube clip. But my background is quality assurance and production and project management, and I didn't want to be the one at events or on stage or in the limelight. I was quite happy in the QA dungeon testing stuff and making sure stuff worked, right? But with Radial G, when we suddenly went from event booth attraction thing, but for China, to wow, this is actually really popular and really good, we should make it into a game. Having to then quickly learn like really guerrilla style how to do marketing and how to do PR for games, but it also comes from, as you say, we do have a pretty good strong sense of humor, I think, in the studio. We are very older people would say woke, but we're very aware of the boundaries of humor. But at the same time, it's we're always very open and honest and transparent in terms of where we see the technology going, where we think it's capable of now, and passing that through to our clients. So, there's no point trying to missell VR because there's enough hype and there's enough disappointing experiences. You have to remember that it's more likely than not, whatever it is that you've built is going to be somebody's first time experience. And if it puts them off VR, then you've kind of lost them forever. So
yeah, unfortunately,
that comes across with our marketing and all of our external comms, mostly because it's all me, but at the same time, I really despise bullshit. And I'd much rather people have that honest sort of truth of the situation rather than wrapping it up and trying to put a cherry on it or sugarcoating stuff.
Yeah. And you're pretty clear on that. I really appreciated your saying, hey, we have a thick skin. Tell us what's wrong. Tell us what you don't like. All that stuff. Like, we want to hear it. So I think it's a great thing.
Well,
helpful.
We can't, we had a marketing budget, and it was more of a marketing budget than Loco Dojo and Radio G. And, that's one of the things we learned was like, yeah, there's development budget, but we've also got to set some aside and actually spend money on marketing, right? So a lot of that went into the trailer, because the first trailer for Loco Dojo on PC was us. And we just, it's an okay trailer, but, our artist skills are 3D, not video.
Yeah.
So it's like, right, let's actually pay, a proper trailer company to make a decent trailer, right? But again, that's one of the things that came off the list that we want to put in is that mixed reality support and improving alternative cameras and stuff like that for viewers, but also for content creators to make better looking videos and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing with the Quest. It's so freaking hard to stream and do a good job, where PC is so easy, and it's just
right. Yeah, I mean, our first sort of main non-gaming product or tool is purely based around that, right? Because a lot of our enterprise work, when we were deploying into and doing demos and doing events, it's easy with a tethered headset because you've got the mirror on the PC monitor, right?
Yep.
And as soon as we switched to standalone, all of our clients are like, can't see what's going on in the headset. And these are like training facilitators, and they're doing training apps and stuff. And they're like, we need to see what they're doing. If they get stuck, we like, you have to sort of second guess. And I know our apps really well, so I can tell from the audio where they are and what they're doing and what they should be seeing and what they should be doing. So I can kind of guide them through. But we created this tool called Skill Shield that essentially lets you cast from the headset to a laptop app. But then it also uses the webcam of the laptop to video the person in the headset. But then it also has all of the learning objectives being ticked off as they're actually doing it. But it's designed to work over offline Wi-Fi, because an enterprise, we could just use a Google Chromecast, or we could just cast the browser using the Quest tools. But Chromecast works by creating a temporary private YouTube channel, and most enterprises block YouTube, so it doesn't work. Or they block all internet, so it can't go out and back in again. So we sell our Skill Shield tool for our training apps with a laptop and with Wi-Fi 6, non-internet Wi-Fi point, basically.
Nice.
But yeah, purely to solve that problem of not being able to see what people were doing in their headset.
Yeah, I had that same thing with my wife last night when she put the headset on. I could still hear it, so I'm like, yep, hit this, hit that, hit that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, all of my TVs are at home are, I've got Chromecast on them. It's fine. But yeah, it's not always easy to get it on. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear launch is going well. I'm always surprised. Like, I reach out to different devs or teams, like, hey, I know your game's coming out here. Like, you want to go before or after? I know the week of is stressful, so I was kind of surprised. You're like, yeah, let's do it. I appreciate it, by the way. But I know how stressful it is. So
thank you for having me on.
Yeah, anytime.
And I thought I'd rather come on afterwards because then we can talk about the launch process and, you know, I mean, if it had gone terribly wrong, maybe I would have cancelled. But I think, you know, back on that sort of honesty and openness thing, I think even if it had gone terrible, I would have said that. Not in a piteous, please go and buy the game and make it less terrible. But you know, anyway, go and buy the game, right? But the more people who have it, the more people playing, then everyone's going to be happy and you'll have a much better experience.
Yeah.
And one of the main things to me was we were just talking with the VR Trend magazine guys, and it's like not just VR but other games. You sometimes you run across a gem, but the multiplayer lobbies are just empty. So it's like as time goes on, how do we foster communities that, like, you know, everyone picks up that good old classic game that got them into VR,
right?
Fucking play it. Like, give me somebody to play with. You know, like that's a huge challenge to me because we've had a group of like friends playing games since Xbox Live launched, and they've all but quit. Like every single one of them. It's just like we would try to set up like a game night, like once a week, try to match up. You know, just somebody votes for a game. It's been 5 years since we've had like more than one person at a time. So
yeah, I mean, apart from Sea of Thieves, which is like once a month, occasionally with a couple of mates, I generally, you know, my people are online on Xbox and PlayStation, but yeah, I haven't played an online game on my Xbox for so long. But you know, it's probably age. You know, I'm 45, and most of my friends are similar age, and you know, all moved around and got kids or houses or dogs or whatever. But I thought that lockdown might have picked it up a bit more. We tried doing a lot more online board gaming, but yeah, just clicking on a monitor isn't quite the same as sitting around a table in a pub with a beer playing board games, which is how we normally do it. But then Tabletop Simulator supports VR, so it's all right. But it's been a while since I've tried it, but it was pretty clunky, and I was the only one in VR, so everyone else was kind of weirding out a bit.
Yeah, we thought about it. I think they might have removed the assets, but playing that Witcher Gwent card game in Tabletop Simulator, I was kind of gearing up to do that, and I think the Witcher team was like, "Hey, we're going to actually launch a Gwent game. Can you guys not allow that?"
Yeah.
I was like, well.
But then we've obviously got native board game VR apps now. So, I mean, Catan's really nice.
Heard about that.
Neverboard's just come out, right? Supporting simpler games at the moment, but hopefully they'll look to bring in bigger, well, games that I want to play anyway.
Right.
Euro games and, as we call them, Ameritrash, etc. But yeah, you know, it's there needs to be more board game VR experiences as far as I'm concerned.
I'd agree because, like, I don't know. I think you're right when you said like Ameritrash, because like I've hated board and card games because they're just so dull. And then for whatever reason, that Witcher game, like in the Witcher 3 video game, they have a little Gwent card game, and I was like, hey, this is actually really neat. And since then, I've just poked around and found like there are actually really cool board and card games. What was it, Scythe? I think board game.
Scythe, yeah.
Plays like a video game. We played that once at PJ's house, and I was like, holy crap, this is the most well thought out thing I've ever seen. Like, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
Why doesn't more people know about that stuff? I don't know. Like, how do you get the word out, build a community around that crap?
Well, it's one of the first things I did when I moved to a new town. I moved out of Brighton. I mean, Brighton's very good for tech, but it's also very popular with tourists. And in summer, it just heaves and gets quite unpleasant. And getting older, it's like, right, I want more things like a garden and countryside and access to space and fewer people around, etc. Especially if they're drunk or on drugs or, you know, hen and stag parties, etc. So when I moved to a smaller town, I was just like, right, most people my age have got kids and don't go out. How do I meet? How do I meet people? So I found like the local forum, and I was just like, hey, I like board games. Anybody want to start a board game club and meet in pubs and drink beer and play board games? And we've got like 20 regular people now who come along every couple of weeks, and there's like journalists and authors and doctors and postal workers and all kinds of all walks of life, but we're pulled together and have a great time through this connection of loving a good game, really.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I need to do something like that, but then pandemic, and I just generally hate people.
Well,
sitting there like, I wish I'd have somebody to like do this with, and then never see them again. But like that doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, we did a camp. That was pretty good. All went. Well, it was like posh camping. We all had like wooden huts and big bell tents and stoves and stuff. It wasn't particularly hard. But big fires and vats of chili, and then played Werewolf. That's a pretty good game, like social deduction game. That's in VR as well, actually. I don't know how that works because
I think our friend Fizzy brought that.
Yeah.
Once we're trying to guess who the werewolf is, and you have like,
Yeah, VR's got a few, like you said, Catan and Demio's great. There's another one I'm missing, but
okay.
again,
have they added a save point in Demio yet?
Not yet.
Sure.
Oh, it's just
No. They did. They haven't
nice.
enabled cross like cloud saves yet, but there is a save point, I believe, in
I haven't
right
played
weapon
one bit.
part.
Like that's great because like the zen of like picking up the piece and seeing all the detail. Like it's almost kind of what I would want from like what I was talking about. Like I don't feel as connected to the board game portion of Loco Dojo as like you kind of did to the Italian plumber party, and it was kind of like I don't want it, but here I kind of want to pick up stuff and like look at it. The zen of like having a board game like I don't think I played Catan or anything in VR, but I played Demio. We played with Tommy Palm. And I totally tanked that party. I got us killed. Real bad. But like you picking this stuff up, I was like, I didn't think it would be that cool in VR. And I've tried to explain that to people like at work and stuff. And I got one dude to get it. We played with him a couple times. And some people are just like, what's VR? I'm like, shut up. Never mind. Okay. You don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with my board game club. Like, two of them have got quests. One's always had like Rift and 5, and then one's like keeps on saying he's going to buy a quest. I was like, look, my game's out now. Go buy a quest. Go buy my game. But yeah, when Demio came out, or Demio, I was just like, look, there's this awesome D&D VR game. It should be right up your street. It's like, if people want to talk about, a killer app, the killer app for you is this, right?
Yeah.
Go out and buy one. You got
to wrangle people and just put the headset on them, and then that's how they. Oh yeah, I'm buying this. But unless you can do that, it's really hard to sell.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest adoption we see is through our enterprise deployments. We put a VR training app onto like hundreds of headsets in a big corp. And they're like, yeah, great. Okay, I've done this soft skills training or whatever it is. And this headset's cool, right? And VR's cool. I now get it. And they're like, what else can we do with it? So it's like, okay, well, if your boss isn't looking like, here's Loco Dojo, here's an early build, here's what you can do, right? And they're like, oh my God, you can play games and VR's awesome. Okay. And they're like straight on their phones, ordering one for them, maybe even one for their wife and kids or whatever, to arrive the next day from, a big online retailer. And it's just like, that's where adoption's really being driven from is through enterprise, I think.
I have a mental image of like that person like at work playing Loco Dojo, and the boss is like looking at him, and they're just like, Like, what is that guy doing?
Doing the laptop recording thing you see with the sausage chucks, screaming.
Yeah, the most of going back to the design and like the designer's head and stuff like that, and the exploring what all the different inputs are is like one thing that does trouble me a little bit is like some of the you watch somebody playing, some of the gestures are actually quite suggestive. And it's like, like, it's really funny. And then like, some kid plays it and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, before we played last night, I told my wife, I'm like, try hop in and do one mini game just so you get the feel of it. And I recorded her on my phone and I just sent her the text this morning. She's like, oh, that's great. And she's just...
Put it on TikTok.
Awesome.
Put it on TikTok. TikTok's where like I'm far too old for TikTok, and nobody wants to see my ass around anyway. So
yeah, I'm not much younger than you, and I have the same issues. Like, funny is funny, but there's a line here now these days, and it's like my funny crosses, so I keep it to myself.
I've been looking at TikTok and like just trying to see how it's being used for VR, and some people got like review channels and demos and stuff like that, and little snippets of them playing. But obviously, the most popular stuff is all the VR fails. And it's like, well, I don't want to be using that to promote the game.
Exactly. Yeah, Techman Jew.
The fails where they put like a headset on a girl and she just goes crazy and punches the TV like immediately when the game launches.
Yeah, or people
the
falling
best
over
video,
and
but it's
stuff
like,
like
I don't
that.
want that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to show that to anybody because it's going to harm them getting VR.
If you're looking at TikTok, check out Techman Jew. He's going to be on the podcast.
I reached out to them.
Yeah. He's awesome. Good stuff on there.
I love the fact that social media can kind of get those ideas out there. But same thing, like, want to hang out with people, but I also hate people. I still don't have Facebook. I haven't used my Twitter account. My girlfriend took over my Twitter account and trolls people with it. I've had that since Twitter launched, like way back. Like a friend of mine, that Fizzy I just mentioned, was like, hey, look at this. It's new. It's Twitter. Like, I don't know how long ago that was. Right. It's like you could use social media for good, but then it's like, it's all messed up and bad. So I'm amazed by people who take on like the marketing. We talk to other devs, and one of them, they say his Twitter game's awesome. He's always on. So I check out his stuff, and I'm like, I just don't. I don't operate that way, so I'm in awe of people that do. Or can.
They took away some of my creativity because when it was like 140 characters, you had to like really creative wordsmiths to get something in, right? And now it's essentially unlimited. Well, was it 280 or something?
The double.
That's 280.
So some of that's sort of gone away, but yeah, it's. I need somebody with mad video and Photoshop skills to support me really, more than my own quite poor capabilities. But hopefully it's the videos of the game and getting people to share their videos of gameplay. I mean, if I'm ever feeling a bit sad, I just go to YouTube and I go to the playlist, and we've got two now. We've got one for Loco Dojo and one for Loco Dojo Unleashed, but there's like over 100 videos that people have shared of them playing Loco Dojo on PC over the years. If I'm ever feeling a bit sad or thinking, the game isn't doing well, or what am I doing with my life, etc., I just watch these videos because it's like 98 videos of people having such a good time and absolutely just pissing themselves laughing. And it's just like, hey, okay, now I feel great again.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I highly recommend watching people having a good time, even if you hate people.
What a bunch of ass.
That's one thing that I'm like. We both work full-time jobs and stuff, and the podcast itself, what we do takes a lot of time. So I'm trying to because on PC I stream and I'll play. I don't do any mixed reality yet. I'm slowly trying to get there. But I have a camera on me with like lighting that matches the game, and you can see me flailing around. I'm trying to get that working on Quest, but it just takes a lot of time and it's just not easy. Otherwise, I'd be streaming all the time.
Yeah, we started looking at mixed reality on the PC version, and like everyone who releases a tool or an asset for Unity, it's like it's a Unity plugin. It's 5 minutes. It's really simple to install and set up. And it's like, yeah, if you're working on the Unity Cube app, but yeah, it's just Loco Dojo is fairly complex in the way it destroys scenes and stuff between loading and mini games and having to reinitialize every time. But we started to get live working, but yeah, it's definitely something that I want to see happen sooner rather than later for the Quest version, is getting the Quest mixed reality support in to allow people make better videos.
Yeah, I have right on the edge of trying live. Adam Bombbody's she's been on the podcast. She's come on in a couple weeks. She just got a job there, so I have a lot of questions for her. But
right, yeah.
Did you mean to scoot across the table? Because it looks like you're trying to.
Yeah.
No, I'm in my chair and my screen.
All right, you kind of drifted over towards me as if we were about to embrace.
Yeah, you sat right in his lap.
Yeah, after about an hour, you start to get wonky in the app sometimes. Not sure why, but. Well, before we wrap up, and is there anything we didn't get to talk about that you wanted to, or?
No, I think we've covered a fairly wide range of topics around Loco and VR and us as a studio in general.
Yeah, we could keep going, but I always try to make sure we're respecting the guest time. So you're probably let me out of here, But I adore the game. I've loved it since the PC version. I'm so glad it's on Quest and more accessible now and more people playing it anyway. I just, like we said, from the art style and the mini games, I hope it does awesome and you guys are able to continually add content, and I thank you, man. That game is fun.
No, thank you. I mean, that kind of feedback and people enjoying it is the reason why we do it, right? And it's really good to be able to step back and be humble about what it is that you've achieved, and seeing people enjoying playing it and loving it is the whole reason. So it's it means a whole great deal to us when people say that. So,
yeah, and
thank you very much.
If Grumpy Man Wookiee here can enjoy it, it's a good thing.
The hell is that? No, actually, I'm weird about games because I'll just get annoyed because I can't do something. If we'll play first-person shooters, I don't give a crap about most things. I'm trying to do something stupid and I'll die 10 times trying to pull it off. And when I do pull it off, I'm like, nothing else matters. I'm like, yeah. But when things break down and I can't make it happen, I get annoyed. So frantic mini games like this, when I'm trying to hook the pig and it just falls off the hook and I can't tell why. I'm sitting there going and it's not that I'm not having fun. I'm like, I hate this, but I'm having a fun. 10 minutes after we're playing, what's that?
That's down to the network physics.
Is it?
Yeah, the hooking the hog. So if you do it slowly and carefully, then the network physics are good enough to ensure that everyone can see you hooking the hog. But if you whip it up,
I think I'm
then
freaking out.
Skips essentially. Yeah,
that makes perfect sense now because I'm looking over there. PJ's got a whole little pen full of pigs, and I've got 2. I'm like, I don't care if I got a gold one; it doesn't matter. But I'll freak out, and then 10 minutes later, I'm like, God, that was a blast. But
you got to get Zen in a dojo.
Yeah, I got to control. But the funny thing was, I don't know if it was last night we were playing or the other night. But I sit there just, have my little mini explosions to myself while, freaking out, trying to probably hook a pig. My girlfriend was talking to her sister on her phone, and her sister's like, what the hell is that noise? She's like, oh, he's playing, what is the game, Loco Dojo? She's like, I'm going to have to check that out. And I don't know what it was about me just, having a shit fit with myself because I couldn't. I'm sitting there like, ah! maybe when the shark ate me, I don't know when it was, and I was just
Right.
screaming. She's like, I got to play that. And I'm like, what about me made you want it? But I get it. It's super fun. Like, I left the 5-star review. I'm like, you guys got to play this minigame.
Yeah. And I can't wait to edit the video from last night with my wife playing because she was just screaming and hollering. It was just so fun. Like, many props.
forward to it.
You guys are doing great.
And it's,
Well, I want you to, I want to make you happy, Wookiee, and the things like the seagulls, and when you throw the apple or when you fists, it's always annoyed me that in the menu, in the sort of the opening area, there's a seagull up there, and he's like really judgy. He turns around and looks at you, and I like the number of times I've shot a fist at him, and he just like, we just like at least just make him get up and flap and land somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like those little things of making things a bit more interactive that everyone loves in VR. But like even these coffee cups, etc. Can't pick these up. But
how did you know I wanted it? Like, it's like throw an apple at the seagull, and I nailed one right through the face after the heavy apples.
Yeah,
like, he didn't even move. I'm like, I must kill you. This is a thing now.
It was on video.
Oh, was it me? I'm like, fuck you.
But yeah, the first night before launch, and we were going to test it out. I was waiting on Wookiees, so I was sitting there, and I threw probably 100 apples, and I hit that seagull twice. I'm like, motherfucker, didn't go. Like,
I didn't know what PJ completely fully put in that video. I'm like, I'm gonna hit that fucking seagull.
It's on the list somewhere, but I don't know where it is on the list. But
those
if
are
that's the
details,
worst
yeah.
thing, like, you're totally fine.
Yeah, it's details. Like,
Half-Life Alyx has like ruined a lot of people for their expectations, and they're like,
Yeah.
but there was I don't know, 350 people and a budget of like 150 million or something.
Yeah.
Over many years. It's like, of course you can feckin' pick up everything and look at it.
Yeah.
in intricate detail.
yeah, really.
Yeah, when air quotes enthusiasts say, "Oh, Half-Life Alyx direct VR for me, I can't play anything else." I'm like, okay, go do something else then, because there's so many other things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's great, but that is like, there's only a couple games like that, and it's like, that's not real. Like, I don't want to say it's not real VR, but the meat is down here with indie devs and all the other games that are out there that aren't that. It's like, come on.
Yeah, it's like when people say multiplayer is easy in Unity, you just tick a box, and it's just like, no, it really isn't.
No.
Yeah.
They have plugins, and there's a lot of netcode done for you, but that doesn't make it easy. That just means you don't have to go develop the backbone. You still have to configure the backbone and set up all your stuff. Like, I've told PJ about that. Like, when I was first looking at like Unity multiplayer stuff, and it's like, well, you can spawn something, or you can use the instantiate command. Those could still be in there. I'm not. It's like, you must have to rewrite or write your whole game to use instantiate, even if you don't need it, because you might want multi. Same thing, but it doesn't work. And it's just sort of like, what if somebody writes a whole big ass game and then tries to put multiplayer in it, and then you have to rewrite the whole thing? Like, nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
tough.
that was one of the lessons that we learned from Radial G's, because like that started off with Steam VR support, and then Oculus Rift was coming out first, and then the Oculus SDKs came out, and no, sorry, I'm talking out my ass. It started off with DK1 and Oculus and DK2, but then the only way to get it out really was the Steam store. There wasn't the Oculus store announced at the time, and then the Oculus store was announced. It's like, right, we're going to put the Oculus platform stuff in, and the store stuff, and then the PlayStation VR stuff, and it was this horrible spaghetti mess. I'm told anyway. I'm not a developer, so when we came to starting development on Loco, it's like, right. Ideally, this will be successful, and we will make it multi-platform. Therefore, organize the code so there's game and platform, and it's very easy to pick out and drop and swap and everything else.
Right. It's a different setup to start out with the modular mentality, and you could probably swing stuff like, based on, gathering info about develop one app to save developer time, so you don't have to do like a different build for 60 different things, and have it recognize something about the environment, and then, tweak some things, like it's PSVR, so check these boxes automatically.
Yeah.
But then you have such a bloated app to, it's like, oh God.
Yeah, well, hopefully stuff like OpenXR will reduce the need for all of that.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
And going back to what like PJ said about, the Half-Life Alyx ruined me for VR, what I think a lot of people, and this is just not VR or gaming related, a lot of people just don't really see things for what they are anymore. They go by their existing expectations, and they're just not happy if it doesn't live up to what they thought it would be. They're like, just see it for what it is and enjoy it. And then if you don't actually enjoy it, then you would know. It's not just sort of like a reviewer said this, so that must be my opinion. Or I've been playing too much GTA, so I play this other game. It's not GTA, so I hate it. It's like,
yeah, and it's the same as like, how much is a game worth, or what is the value of a game? What do you set your pricing at? I mean, we've stuck with $19.99. Fortunately,
Worth it.
The system sets GBP and euro prices and Australian dollar prices automatically. We can't tweak it individually like on Steam. I think I haven't actually checked because I've had it installed for so long. I've never actually seen the price in pounds. I need to like log out of Oculus at some point and not be in the dashboard. But I think it's more than £14.99, which is what we wanted or what the original version was. But that was just how the prices and the currency conversion worked at the time. But yeah, it's like I account as like $14.99 to me is 3 craft beers, which will last me perhaps 3 hours. So as long as I get more than 3 hours entertainment out of it, then it's totally worth it. And yeah, it's for me. It's just like I think nothing of dropping that on a craft beer. Therefore, I'm not going to go and complain when it's like $14.99 and then go, oh, this game's rubbish. I've only played 50 hours and it's
Right.
totally not worth it. It's just like, really? Come on.
Yeah. Crazy. But
yeah.
well, see, we
But yeah,
always say we try to let you go and then we pull you back in. Like,
yeah. Well, Half-Life Alyx has ruined, well, not ruined, but our designers, especially on the enterprise side, right? So we operate as an agency. So a client wants a training app built, and they have a budget and a timeline, and we turn that budget into development days that are profitable for us, etc. And then the designer comes along going, I've just finished playing Half-Life Alyx and I've got loads of ideas, and it's just like, put them all away.
oh no.
Do not put them in a box and burn the box, and
Don't take cues from Steam and Valve and stuff like that, because it's like, how long did it take them to make Half-Life 2? I think that was like, should have come out in 2004, and it came out when? And how long did it take them to make, like, they don't have timelines because it doesn't matter. They just have people working on stuff at their own pace. Don't ever take cues.
I mean, our projects on average are like 3 months, and there's 20 days in a month for work days. So it's like 60 days of dev, maybe 90 if there's 2 devs on it sharing some of the load over the time. And it's just like, no, we're not making everything pick upable. No, we're okay. Yes, you can make a water shader, so in these health vials, when you dip it, the water moves. But they didn't even have that in Alyx at the start, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so people see like games where they take a drink and the glass flops around, and it's like, that doesn't look as good as GTA's drinks. And it's like, do you even know how to do that? It's not easy. Shut up.
But yeah, it is a strangely nice, sunny, warm October day here in the UK, and I think it's about 3 p.m. now, near enough.
Oh, wow.
For me anyway.
Yeah.
And you guys must need some more coffee because it's still early, right?
Yeah, it's
so
8:30 here.
9:30.
But it's been an absolute pleasure and an honor to be on.
Oh, pleasure is ours, man. Like, thanks for your time and the game. And, you know, if you ever have content and want to come back, or even like showcase a new something here ahead of time, reach out.
Absolutely.
Chance little plug. Yeah, if you get like a new set of mini games or whatever, just come on.
Yeah. Well, what I will probably need to do is add you to our test channel, so when we think we've got our cross-region fix in place, you can test the earlier build for me to make sure that the cross-region's working.
Be happy to, yep. Anything we can do to help, we try to help. And I play a lot of games, so no problem.
Excellent. Well, may well see you around the table one day once cross-region's working. And then I can skill you and show you all the cheats and hacks and tips and tricks of how to win.
Just put me in the corner and let me just pop off while I'm trying to, figure out how to stomp bugs and stuff like that. I'll just be fine.
Yeah, cool.
Well, enjoy your day, man. Thanks again.
I will do. And I will see you all soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Go and buy the game.
Yeah. Links are in the show notes to the game. Check it out. Videos, all that fun stuff.